Every hero's journey begins with a hero when there's still a zero. And I'm only saying that for rhyming effect. It's kind of harsh. I don't mean it that way, but the zero to hero story, basically. They don't have the thing yet. They don't know the thing yet. They don't have the transformation. And that's called ordinary life. They're living in the ordinary world, the known. Every single one of us right here, right now, in this moment, we know the world around us. We may be wrong about it, but in our mind, it's what we know. The world is like this. When I do this, this happens. When this happens, this happens. That's my world. Bilbo Baggins is a hobbit. Hobbits don't really go on adventures. They don't really see a lot of danger. They don't really see a lot of excitement at all. They kind of live their life. They eat their first breakfast, their second breakfast, their whatever else they have. They're what do they say, Levensies? They 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 have a pretty sheltered, easy, ordinary world, and I would love to live in the Shire, at least go on vacation there. But all of a sudden, there's a knock on the door, and there's a bunch of dwarves at the door. And then there's Gandalf, and they're saying, "Hey, come out of this hole, go on this adventure, help us to steal a treasure from a dragon." But now his world is rocks. You want me to go out of the known world? You want me to go out of everything that makes sense to me, everything that's comfortable? Even if you don't like the results of your life, it's comfortable because if it wasn't, you wouldn't have fallen into it. And then the hero generally resists the call. That's just part of the drama. Same with us. A hero's journey, call to adventure in your life is a diagnosis, a tragedy. Sarah, we feel for you. It's a house burning down. Yes, ma'am, the token. That's right. It's it's a betrayal. It's an opportunity. The known world is all of a sudden disrupted. And there's an opportunity every time that happens. And the opportunity is to go on the journey towards a transformation. And no hero's journey book is complete without a transformation. I see very few books about a main character with a flat arc. You know what I mean by flat arc? Sometimes it's the person that nothing changes. I read a book called The Fountainhead, and Howard Rourke, the architect in the book, he never changes. He learns some skills, but he fundamentally never changes. The whole book is responding to him. It's kind of a different way of writing about a hero. But 99.9% of books, the hero changes. And he changes or she changes because they go on this journey and the things that happen force them to change. So refusal of the call, eventually the mentor, if he hasn't shown up at first, shows up, Gandalf. So the dwarfs, maybe they come and they invite him on the adventure, but Gandalf comes as the one who has to convince him to go. Next day he wakes up, he's like, I'm going. And he runs off to go find them and run off on the adventure and do something very not normal for a hobbit. Crosses the threshold. That's a moment. right? That's like a it's an important moment. It's not just he left, but you need that moment in your book. And and for the reader, like it's just so tricky because they don't know this is going to happen to them or they wouldn't have bought the book. Somehow you sell them on the ordinary life and just a little bit, this is maybe you sell them with the back of the books by saying, uh, what the benefits are. You don't tell them about the dragon. Somehow you got to get them to want to be willing to step across knowing, whoa, this is not just some book, you know, because there are a lot of books out there that have good information and they're just some book. And yeah, it's not nothing. You bank the information and maybe it comes back up later and it becomes part of your character. But most of us could point to a book that was the one that changed our lives, gave us a whole new way of thinking that changed everything. That's what you're trying to write. So, in Richard's book, he does this really, really well. I can't wait for you guys to read it. In Richard's book, he has he has an acknowledgement of ordinary life. Richard, right? You show them what the average pew sitter is like. You show them what you were like when you first went to ISU and you're a pew sitter, if you win at all. You made me feel comfortable, like, okay, yeah, this guy gets the ordinary life I'm in. And then you issue the clarion call. And then your very next chapter, or at least soon after that, is but I'm just one person. He addresses what he sees to be the resistance, the refusal of the call, before he even gets into the journey. So there's the description of ordinary life, then there's the the call, hey, come on this adventure, without giving too much away about all the dragons that are going to be there. And then I know you may be resistant right now. You might be saying, but I'm just one person. Oh, by the way, Ian, I see that. I'll address that I'll address that soon. Um, right? So whatever it is, even Sarah, your book is a little different because it's an academic book, but it still has kind of the same sort of journey structure, and you still have objections to deal with, you know, like for a teacher to accept a new way of teaching is a hero's journey for him or her. So then you step in as Gandalf, or you step in as Obi-Wan Kenobi, you step in as Master Teacher, you step in as Kingdom Soldier General who's been there and now is calling there to recruit the militia. And if you're writing the fiction book, you're stepping in as the god of the book. And I don't mean that in a blasphemous way. I just mean there's something you're keeping your reader in mind. One of these days, I'm going to invite some more fiction experts in to talk to us about fiction because I've I've not written nearly as many novels. But so you get them to cross. It's like there's this moment. It's like, hey, if you turn this page, it's gonna start. So they turn the page, and then they cross that threshold. It's tests, allies, and enemies. It's okay, these are the things you need to know. They always come with things you probably need to do. And every chapter doesn't have to be one what to know, what to do, what to feel. Every chapter, it could be a section. It could be a chapter is the what to is the this, one chapter is the setup of the problem. The next chapter is the answer. It could be like that. Um, but the progression, whether it's chapters or what, the progression is going to be these challenges that they got to face, or the learnings that they have to discover in order to go to the next level. And if you can possibly set it up in an order that makes sense, where you kind of need to know this to learn this, like you kind of need to know what letters are in the alphabet if you're going to start putting words together, if you're going to start putting sentences together, if you're going to start putting books together. But it's but you for me it's usually first principles first. I usually just start with, okay, how do we go high level with with the philosophy or the theologies or both, and then bring that down more practical as we go to actual change and action. And then it doesn't really matter what you're writing about as a Christian in a Christian book. You're almost always going to get to surrender. At some point, it's a letting go. At some point, it's jumping off a cliff. At some point, it's not just stepping across a threshold, it's stepping into a bottomless pit, or at least something that looks like it might be one. It's going really into the unknown. And then we call after some tests, allies, and enemies, then you get to approaching the challenge. And that's leading up. It's like everything in the book is leading up to what's going to be like the big moment uh in the cave, the deepest, darkest place, the hardest thing that they could possibly have to go through as a result of your book. It's going to happen here, and it's probably going to have something to do with surrender. And after that, the typical progression is, the ordeal, the reward, the road back, the resurrection, and then return with the elixir. Those can actually be in, they don't all have to be in, it doesn't have to necessarily be in that order. I think that resurrection happens after the ordeal. Getting the reward is sort of where the resurrection happens. If you surrendered, then whatever you are after that is something new. And you want to reward them, like a fiction writer gives them a reward. You want to give your reader a reward for surrendering. The road back, if you read The Lord of the Rings, and not the movies, but if you read it, the hobbits all have to go back to the Shire. And when they get there, there's a bunch of orcs that have taken over and they have to like drive them out, but they have no trouble doing that because they're different. They bring back the treasure to share. They bring back the elixir, whatever the thing is that they won, they bring it back to share. And that's a really important part of a nonfiction Christian transformation book, because that is the call to community and the call to the reader to join the mission. You might not have a mission, but almost everybody that starts this work finds that God has a mission with those readers. Even if it's just, hey, share this book with someone, tell people about this book. And in life, then that now you're in the new ordinary life, waiting for the next call to adventure, for the next growth, the next transformation. You'd like to think it'd be nice if we could just be perfect and be done at that point, but that's really not how it works.